Hi, I'm Justin Koo, and I'm going to talk to you about the deck I used to win the largest armory in the Philippines, which was 71 people last Saturday. It might be the largest in Southeast Asia, but we're not sure yet about that. So don't quote me on that. I got this nice foil Art of War for winning. Yay! Um, so I used Bravo for this tournament. If you look at the list, this is actually not Bravo. This is Yoji. So equipment, we have Ironhide legs because you have floating from Rampart and then your defensive cards that cost resources. Tunic, long game. Tunic's nice. Crater Fist, blocks 3. This is actually, I've probably activated Crater Fist the most times uh, on this deck than normal Bravo or any other deck for that matter, because at the end, when you reach your pitch stack, sometimes they still have some armor. And if you can count out their armor and their block values, their max block value from hand. So if you know they have a D react, that's 4. If you know they don't, then that's 3. Sometimes they can still block out the dominate. The Crater Fist allows you to go over that and guarantee the crush in certain spots, which I actually did a couple times, making the Starstruck 12 so that the crush goes through and time walks them. So Crater Fist is actually, the ability is actually really useful in this style of deck. Crown of Providence lets you block with 5 cards, no matter what your arsenal is. Titan's Fist, Rampart. I won't go into too much detail. If you you can watch my Yoji deck tech for most of the explanations of these cards. So we're running 20 blues. Relevant blues are Warmonger's Diplomacy for Runeblades. Imposing Visage gets Blessing of Patience, turn 0. And then Terra Sunder is a lot more relevant here because with 4 blues, with Terra Sunder and a handful of blues and one of these and Tunic Counter, you can Terra Sunder one of them or one of the random attacks here. So running 20 blues here. These are your 0 cost D-Reacts. They're all good. Sync Below and Fate Foreseen play a special role in this deck because they allow you to pitch stack efficiently. They allow you to, if you can opt one of these on the bottom or sync one of them and sandwich them in between 3 blues. Crown of Providence is also used for that. Then you have your D-Reacts that cost resources. You have your life gain cards, and then you have your AB4 in the sideboard for Kano. Then you have Sledge for the Guardian Mirrors. And I think Dorinthia, you bring in Sledge also. Uh, with this, we had one more sideboard slot. I ended up on a second Healing Balm for Kano. This slot was the one I was least sure about. This was either going to be this or Remembrance or AB5 or a, another blue. I wasn't really sure, but I ended up on this and it was fine. I did play it in the 1K no I faced, and so other than that, the deck looks pretty much the same, but the way you play it is very different. It can be very different depending on the matchup. So the matchups where you want to fatigue, you can still fatigue. You can do the exact same thing. These become just block 3s, and that's completely fine. You can do the exact same thing as Yoji did. You have 2 less life, but the games where you can fatigue somebody consistently, the 2 life sometimes doesn't matter. So we're okay with that. Against decks that can use your defensiveness against you, so decks that can set up kind of like pistol dash, Yoji really had no way to fight. But with these 4 cards and the Bravo hero ability, you sort of flip the clock back on them. Now instead of them abusing the fact that you can't attack, you abuse their setup to pitch stack a perfect hand and then kill them. So you flip the clock back on them. Now you have to kill me again. instead of me having to try to kill you with a deck that's full of D-reacts. So it's really interesting how that dynamic goes. For those that don't know how the pitch stack combo finish works, basically, so you for the entire game you will be pitching blues, right? Because they're the most efficient pitch card, and then you will see these cards at some point in the game. So what you want to be doing is when you pitch blues, you want to pitch one of the attacks. So Starstruck is nice to pitch because it's a yellow. It's not as inefficient as pitching as a red. So you can pitch Starstruck for Rampart and Oasis, Rampart and Ironhide legs, and then put this under. And then you want to continue to pitch blues. So 3 blues. Ideally, you want 3 blues, and then you want an attack. So crippling. Usually, the most efficient way we can get this to the bottom is through crown, sink, and opting it with fate. But sometimes you just have to pitch it, which is okay. Your turn becomes a little inefficient. So let's say you've just pitched the Rampart, which is worst case scenario. You're missing out on 2 value, right? So your 3 block turned into a 1 block. But that's okay because once you reach stack, they probably die. So it's okay in this instance. So you're kind of like Kano in that sense, where you set up like a combo finish at the end. So you want, let's say you pitch this to Rampart, and then you do the same thing. So you pitch 3 more blues. So like let's say I play some of my D-reacts or Titan's Fist, and this can happen over the course of multiple turns. Pitch 2 blues to AB or something, cast something, and then next turn you pitch another blue, and then you pitch your big attack again, and then 3 blues, so that at the end of the game, when you reach the stack, every hand you draw is perfectly dominated. So this is 3 blues and a Starstruck, dominate that, and then your next hand is 3 blues and a crippling, you dominate that, and then they'll usually be dead by this time. But if they're not, 1 more, and then 1 more. And yeah, usually it only takes 3 to kill them because let's say they only have 3 blocks in hand. This does 7, this does 8, this does another 7. So it's usually enough, and then you can tear asunder random attacks too. It's a fatigue deck mainly, and then for decks that you cannot fatigue, or decks that have a plan against fatigue, you can set up this combo finish. What's nice also about Starstruck in this deck is you don't get to perfectly craft your second cycle. It won't always be 3 blues and attack, 3 blues and an attack. Sometimes sometimes you'll draw these 2 together, and it's going to be really painful to pitch them both at the same time. So you can pitch one of them and then crown one of them or something. And even if they're together, it's okay. Because when your pitch comes, so let's say they are sandwiched by some blues, if you draw them together, let's say they're sandwiched by some blues, if you draw them together, a normal Bravo deck, like a CC Bravo, wouldn't be able to play this hand. But because you're running Tunic, in the end game, you can make sure you have a Tunic counter when you're going to draw the hand with the Starstruck and the Crippling. So then you can Bravo ability with the Starstruck, and then with Tunic counter, you can still dominate the attack. And if your deck is small enough, this Starstruck that you used to dominate can now loop back into another dominated hand. So it's really, really satisfying to set that up. And it's a really replicable plan against one of the matchups that got really hard for Yoji after Drone got banned. I would suggest trying this out. It's a really fun deck to play. Pitch stacking is some of the most fun you can have in Flesh and Blood, in my opinion. It's really, really satisfying because you don't have to leave anything up to chance. It's you that controlled your perfect hands. Thanks again to everybody that joined the Unbox Armory. 71 people. Really fantastic showing of the Philippine Flesh and Blood community. Hopefully we get bigger events because of that. We did get noticed, so we did our job, guys. really, really proud of the community. And see you at the next armories.